UOL building. So you can scold the AGC by writing stuff on the red banner. So those are two writing things that you can do. There's also a booth there to my right, your left, where you can do up your placards if you didn't bring your own. There are also a bunch of flyers and a petition calling for a moratorium on the death penalty. So you can pick that up or sign over there as well. Uh, and at the booth also, you will find some mourning pins. We'll ask everyone to like pin it on your sleeve later on, but if you want, you can do that now as well. Okay, more things. Yeah, and also because TJC has been POFMAT damn bad, so we can't operate some of our social media accounts, and we need to share that responsibility of bringing more anti-death penalty discourse online and offline. So please post on your social media today and tag Alliance Against Death Penalty.sg and also students from SATU. Yeah, and as people are coming in, or for people who are already here, feel free to come and move closer to the mound so that people who come in later, they can just fill up the space behind also lah. And for those who need it, there are chairs to your left that you can use as well. Yeah, thanks everyone. Hi everyone, thanks for being here and being on time. It's very nice to see like quite a good number of you here so far. So we're gonna start our program in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I would like to invite everyone to come closer to where I am, near where the banners are. So while we are waiting for the program to start in about 10 minutes, in the meantime, you will see two banners in front of me. The first one closest to me says "Blood on your hands, AGC." So there are markers that are spread out around on the first banner, on the other banner. You can take some of the markers and write some messages on this red banner to scold the AGC. So the AGC is right over there that the banner is facing in the UOL building. The second banner says "Not in my name." On that banner, you may write messages of solidarity with death row prisoners and their family members. So on it also you would see some messages that were written in previous rallies and vigils as well. Other than that, we also have a booth over there. So in the meantime, if you haven't already, please prepare your placard, which we'll be using throughout the rally today. There are also morning pins, candles, and some flyers that you can pick up from the booth. And also you can sign the petition calling for the moratorium of the death penalty if you haven't yet at the same booth. Lastly, TJC has faced many POFMA on our various social media platforms, so we can't operate a lot of them today. I would like to invite everyone to share the responsibility of sharing anti-death penalty messages on your social media by posting about today's rally on Instagram, on Facebook, etc., and tagging Alliance Against Death Penalty.sg and also students from SATU. So that's Alliance Against Death Penalty.sg and students from SATU on Instagram. Yeah, so we'll be back in about 10 minutes to start the program proper. Again, in the meantime, please write things on the banner and also come closer to the mount. Yeah, see you all in a bit. Thank you. Hi everyone, thanks for being here today. I think we have a good crowd of maybe about 100 people so far. Some people are still streaming in. We also have a live stream that's happening with people joining us online. So as we move into the speeches real soon, for now we're going to just do some warm-ups with some chants. So can I invite everyone to stand up if you are able to?
Okay, hi everyone. So the first chant that will be going. So I will say execution and you will say it's not the solution. Got it? Can? Okay. Execution!
It's not the solution!
Execution!
It's not the solution!
Execution!
It's not the solution!
Okay, good job guys.
Okay, so we have a few like AGC specific chants today. So today's point is to score the AGC, right, for like sentencing or like introducing, for sending people to the gallows. So that's why the theme of today's rally is Blood on Your Hands, AGC. The AGC building is right there to your southwest. So if you look at the UOL building over there, that's where the AGC is located. So I want to invite everyone to turn and face the UOL building, and we're going to do some chants at the AGC, okay? So this chant goes, I'm going to say AGC, and you say, there's blood on your hands. Okay, so that's, I say AGC, you say, there's blood on your hands. Okay, ready? Okay. AGC!
There's blood on your hands!
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 Okay, I want you to chant a bit louder, okay? Those who are working OT, I want them to be able to hear you in their office building. So everyone, AGC!
There's blood on your hands!
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 Okay, while you're saying this, I want you to all hold your left fist up as well, okay? Okay, AGC!
There's blood on your hands!
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 Okay, we're gonna do another chant at the AGC, okay? So I'm gonna say AGC with your big pay. You're gonna say, how many did you kill today? Alright? So that's AGC with your big pay. How many did you kill today? Okay, ready? AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
Yeah, I want you to scold them a bit fiercer, more garang, okay? AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
One more time, AGC with your big pay.
How many do you kill today?
Okay, so these are some of the chants that we'll be doing later. Okay, can turn and face back already. Sorry. Yeah, so these are some of the chants that we'll be using later throughout the rally. So we invite you to stand up, sit down, exercise a bit while we are here, So yeah, so right now you're welcome to again go to the booth if you haven't picked up a placard, or you can just stay where you are. Or if you see some space in front of you, I see a huge space right in front of me. Please feel free to come closer. We're not going to do anything to you. Just come and gather to be with one another. Yeah, okay. So we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes with the speeches. So for now, just be with one another. You can look through the chant sheet also for some of the chants that we'll be looking at later, and pick up a placard or quickly make one if you haven't yet. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Good evening, everyone. We are gathered here today in grief and anger as the state continues to take lives away. Just last Thursday, Dajina Murthy was killed by the state in your name. He's the 11th person hanged this year. How does that make you feel?
The death penalty is not just an abstract or faceless one. Real people make decisions to kill. Real people are involved in the machinery of killing. Today, we are here to call them out, to hold them accountable to the role they play in the death penalty.
The theme of our protest today is Blood on Your Hands, AGC. Conveniently, today at Hong Lim Park, they are right in our sight. Look behind you to the left at the UOL building. They sit in their comfortable high-rise offices while death row prisoners are incarcerated in confined solitary cells, sometimes with no space to even lie down flat.
And they take massive paychecks for the work of murder. Do you think that is fair? Do you think this is just?
No,
Do you think that this is humane?
no.
Today, we make our voices loud and clear to the Singapore government, to the AGC, that there is blood on their hands, and we want no more blood on ours. So I want to invite everyone to stand up and chant with me. Okay, so when I say, no more blood, no more blood on our hands, I want you to just repeat that, all right? Okay. No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
Okay, hold your placards and fists up. No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
Okay, and there's blood on whose hands? There's blood on whose hands? Alright, so I want all of you to turn around and face the AGC, the UOL building over there. I don't know why the UOL, they never light up today, but like, it's over there. So you face the UOL building over there. Okay, so when I say AGC, you say, there's blood on your hands. AGC!
There's blood on your hands.
AGC!
There's blood on your hands.
AGC!
There's blood on your hands.
AGC!
There's blood on your hands.
AGC!
There's blood on your hands.
Okay, I want you to carry this rage, this energy with you throughout the rest of the rally, alright? So for the rest of this evening, okay, you can turn back now. For the rest of this evening, we'll have 6 speeches, then hold a minute of silence and sing We Shall Overcome Together. So our first speaker today is Rocky Howe, a member of the Transformative Justice Collective. He'll be speaking on the murderous nature of the prosecution as we think about this. Does the AGC really serve public interest?
Good evening, everyone. At today's rally, we want to scrutinize the role of the AGC in the death penalty. I'm going to start with a short list of what the AGC does in death penalty cases. First, they make the decisions on prosecution and decide what charges to bring against an accused person. Right? In cases of death penalty for homicide, they decide whether to bring a charge that carries the mandatory death penalty. In drug cases, whatever the actual weight of drugs found in the person, they can decide to lower the charges against the person to below the death penalty quantity. They decide on whether to offer plea bargains to accused persons, meaning that if you agree to plead guilty, they charge you with a charge that carries a lower sentence, usually some years in prison and caning. Of course, they run the trials and appeals to convict and sentence people to death. They decide on whether to issue certificates of substantive assistance. Remember, we have a mandatory death penalty system, but if the prosecution decides to grant a certificate and the court finds them a courier, only then can the judge decide to sentence them to life imprisonment. Right. They advise the cabinet on whether to grant clemencies to people convicted to death. And of course, they oppose civil rights and human rights challenges brought by death row prisoners, and of course the applications to stay or stop the executions. At every step of the death penalty, the Attorney General is involved. They play a significant role in this machinery of the death penalty. There's a fair amount of commentary, including by academics, that highlight that the Attorney General effectively has de facto control over sentencing. Basically, they decide the outcomes of life and death. And that's because we have a mandatory death penalty system here. Right? When power is concentrated to such an extent, how these decisions are made matters. Of course, if there weren't the death penalty, no one would need to make any of these decisions. But here, we must scrutinize the AG's actions. And part of the problem is that we have a legal system that shields the Attorney General from public scrutiny. We don't publish guidelines for prosecution. Article 35(8) of our Constitution protects the Attorney General's discretion in how they conduct criminal cases. And often our courts take a very light touch approach to reviewing the decisions of the Attorney General, including whether to grant certificates to give someone an opportunity to get a life imprisonment instead. The Attorney General says they are ministers of justice working to serve the public interest. But in all the years I've followed death penalty cases and worked with prisoners on death row, they have shown nothing but carelessness and disregard for the humanity of the people facing the death penalty, instead of regard for any of their basic rights. I'm going to give you some examples of this. In 2024, around 30 death row prisoners filed an application in the court to challenge the legal aid scheme's blanket refusal, to grant any legal aid or assistance to them after their appeal has been completed. They lost at the trial, and they filed an appeal to the Court of Appeal. I'm going to read you a letter the Deputy Public Prosecutors sent to the Court of Appeal. Right? We refer to the death row prisoners' request for an extension of time to file written submissions and request for an expedited hearing of the appeal. Each of the 36 appellants are persons convicted of capital offences, and with some of them having had the sentence upheld more than a decade ago. 4 had a stay of execution pending the conclusion of this proceeding, as listed in Annex B of this letter. The letter proceeds to say, if an oral hearing will be convened, we request that it be fixed for hearing as soon as practicable, so that the appellant's sentences can be carried out without further delay. So sign off by Timotheus Cole, Deputy Senior State Counsel. At the back of this letter, there are pages and pages of names of death row prisoners that the AGC cannot wait to execute. This is a constitutional rights case about the right to access lawyers and have legal assistance. What can be more fundamental than that? Yet they ask for court hearings to be expedited so they can put the appellants, the death row prisoners, to the noose. What justice does this deliver? What public interest does this protect? Another example from a few months later. 4 prisoners, including Dutch, who was executed last week, sought foreign counsel in a constitutional challenge they had brought since 2022. At that point, the prisoners had approached 16 different lawyers, local lawyers who did not agree to represent them. At the start of the appeal of this foreign counsel application to the court, the DPP sent this letter to the foreign counsel and the court. We write to give notice that the Attorney General will be seeking costs personally from the applicants, meaning the foreign counsel, in the event the appeals are dismissed. We are also writing to request that hearing of this matter be on expedited basis. This is signed Claire Poh, State Counsel, Singapore. Here, the AGC are threatening foreign lawyers who are offering the act for free so that 4 death row prisoners may have legal representation in the proceedings concerning their life and death. Of course, this is an effort to deter the foreign lawyers from continuing in the appeal. Have they any shame? Both the Law Society and the AGC opposed the application. They argued that the death row prisoners should argue the foreign counsel case while the lawyers watch on. The court accepted this position. At the outset of this foreign counsel application, the AG made this argument, and I read from the submissions. The submissions filed by the claimants were drafted with legal terms and arguments. The claimants were able to contact and liaise with counsel, whether local or foreign, even though they are behind bars. In the circumstances, even if the claimants are not formally represented by the applicants, the foreign counsel, they have access to legal resources. This holds true whether or not the applications are granted. If you were in the death row prisoner's shoes, would it not matter to you if your lawyer could meet you in person to take your instructions? Instead of passing messages through visits with families that take place once a week for 45 minutes? Would it not matter to you that you have to show up in front of the court yourself and face a bunch of AGC lawyers and the full bench of the Court of Appeal? Really? Let me ask again. What justice does this serve? What public interest does this protect? Of course, the list goes on. I can tell you that prosecutors routinely accuse prisoners of abuse of the court processes, drip feeding. These are distractions from the right issues that prisoners bring, and an effort to recast these proceedings in a certain light. In almost every application last year, they have said, and I'm going to quote again, for completeness, we reiterate the reason why we did not ask for cause before the court. The appellants brought the application in person. There do not appear to be any court orders which could practically deter them and persons like them from bringing unmeritorious applications to delay the carrying out of the sentence. This is signed off by Deputy Senior State Counsel Timotheus Koh, Chan Yi-ching, Darren Sim. This is the justice that the AGC provides. And when we do see findings of rights violations by the Attorney General, for example, when the AG had illegally requested and received private correspondence of the prisoners, including correspondence with their lawyers, or when a person is unlawfully scheduled for execution, do we see any contrition or remorse? Of course not. In 2022, when Dutch won his first day of execution on the basis that this prison correspondence case was going on, he did it without a lawyer. An appeal was filed and argued in the Court of Appeal that very afternoon. The appeal was run by government lawyers Yang Ziliang and Pavitra Ramkumar. Justice Andrew Pang said to the government lawyers, "Frankly, I am surprised you are pursuing this appeal. My questions for Singaporeans is, are you served by this justice from the AG? We think of constitutional rights litigation as a kind of exercise to derive the extent of rights from the wording and the meaning of the Constitution. What is clear to me from the aggressive prosecution of death penalty cases over the past years is that the AG is not concerned about the right to life. It is about the state's right over life. Effectively, about expanding the state's right to kill. Every letter, action, argument that I've listed earlier by the AG, and more, erodes the fairness and justice of the legal system. If the legal system is to mean anything about fairness and justice, it is we the people who need to hold the state accountable. And to call out the blood on the hands of the Attorney General and each and every person involved in this machinery of killing. Thank you.
Okay, so before we go on to the second speech, we will do another 2 chants. So could you guys please stand up and face the AGC building again? Okay, so for the first one, I will say cage, torture, kill, and then you will say there's no justice. Cage, torture, kill!
There's no justice!
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 So for the second one, I will say AGC with your pay, and then you will say, how many did you kill today? AGC with your pay.
How many did you kill today?
AGC with your pay.
How many did you kill today?
AGC with your pay.
How many did you kill today?
AGC with your pay.
How many did you kill today?
Okay, you may turn around, guys. Okay, so our next speakers, sorry, are Mel and Hadi, who are our younger members of SATU, Student Actions for Transformative Justice. They'll be speaking on the lack of humanity that these prosecutors have, in stark contrast to those on death row.
Hello everyone. So we are from SATU, as you already know, and you may know of us from the recent Straits Times article talking about how we are under investigation by the police. Yeah.
Shame!
So we as young people are some of the most vulnerable when coming to talking about these kinds of things, because not only do we face prosecution by the police, but we can also face prosecution within school boundaries by administrators and by our professors, like what has happened in so many other countries from America to Indonesia.
Yeah, like students have faced many sanctions from speaking out. Like, for instance, like a while back in the movie screening, we learned like during the Palestine encampments that many students lost their scholarships, lost their degrees, got so many things revoked just for speaking out. So this is what we students face. And not only that, we also, because we are youths, we stay with our families, we stay under our parents' roofs, and there's such an atmosphere of fear on speaking out against the government that when our parents hear about what we do, our activism, or see us in the news, what they often respond with is fear. They tell us to stop. They threaten to kick us out of our house. There are some comrades with us who I know have been kicked out personally and are now living on their own, renting rooms or living in shelters. This is what we face. But we will not stop. We will continue speaking out against the government because this is what we believe is right. We won't stop until every last life is saved. Okay, Hadi.
I was 6 years old when 25-year-old Dachna Murti Kataya was arrested at Woodlands Checkpoint in Singapore for smuggling 44.96 grams of heroin across the border. I was 11 years old when he was sentenced to death by hanging. As a 19-year-old student, I and other young people in Singapore have continuously campaigned for the rights of those on death row, their right to comfort, their right to freedom, and their right to live. When I first read Dachna's letters, they were some of the most touching and yet heartbreaking words that I've ever read. Even as someone who had been in prison for 11 years at that point and 7 years on death row, I did not recognize any spite. There was no hate, no anger, no bitterness. It was as if he purely had love in his heart for everyone. In one of his letters, Dachna said, "Every day is my victory, and every new day is a bonus to me. Praise God." In spite of being someone who was on death row, Dachna had so much hope and love in his heart. Dachna was a very devoted Catholic during his time on death row, and he never stopped believing in the miracles that God is capable of. He prayed, not only for himself, but for his friends and family outside the prison walls. Until his death, Dachna was a man who was a source of light and comfort for those who knew him. I can never, ever truly understand the pain and the hurt that Dachna went through all those years. I can never understand the anxiety and the frustrations of his family for the entire decade that they had known that Dachna could be executed at any time by the Singaporean state. The strength of both Dachna and his family cannot be understated. People who never gave up in challenging the state, in spite of the hurdles and obstacles put in their way as punishment for questioning the humanity of hanging a man to death. I ask of the fellow Singaporeans at the AGC, those responsible for looking over capital cases, those responsible for empowering the state to commit violence against our fellow human beings, and those responsible for the inhumane treatment of the young men still on death row. Do you feel no guilt at all? How can someone have it in them to send a man to the gallows and never give him a chance to atone for his misdeeds? Dachna expressed his wishes that if he were to get out of prison, he would educate children and young people in Malaysia about the drug syndicates and how they exploit people as they did to him. He was able to perfectly articulate how unjust and cruel our so-called justice system really is to the unfortunate and the poor. How can an amount of drugs dictated by an arbitrary weight condemn someone to a permanent punishment? As young people ourselves, we need to question why we tolerate the injustices perpetrated by our governments. I fear that if Singaporeans do not find within themselves the conscience to fight for the most vulnerable members of any society, then we are not a country that can be called developed at all. Do we want to take more lives? No. Are we capable of a society that can treat these men with dignity? Yes. Is there blood on the hands of the AGC? Yes. Is there blood on the hands of the AGC? Yes. I send my condolences to Dachna's family and all of those on death row. I will pass my time over to my friend Mel.
Last Thursday, I went to Dutch's wake. There, I saw my comrades in their grief, helping the family with their funeral matters. Many of them wore eye bags from the night before when they stayed up to hold vigil for Dutch. Many of them were red-eyed from their exhaustion and their grief. And all of us held grief and guilt in our hearts as we beheld the body of the man the state has killed in our name. I saw his family together, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, all who came down from Malaysia to mourn his passing. I saw the children too young to understand what was going on, minded by their grieving parents. I saw his sister, tears in her eyes, running her hand over Dutch's fingers. It had been 10 years since they last touched hands. I saw his mother caress his cheek, through her tears, smiling, because after 14 long years in prison fighting for life, her son had finally found his peace. Can you imagine how his mother must feel to see her son's body, to bury him at the age of 39? How much pain must she have seen him go through to be smiling as she sees his lifeless body? Can you imagine how it must feel to be his family, to be denied the right to hold even their son's hands for 10 years, only feeling them when they are cold and stiff? Can you imagine how it feels at the final hour to receive notice of his execution being postponed, only for it to all come crashing down? To beg for a phone call, just one message to be passed to him, just to be told to your faces that no. To be denied even the slightest bit of compassion by our cruel, heartless state. Can you imagine how it feels? Does the AGC know how it feels? Does the AGC know how it feels? Does the AGC know how it feels? Dutch died at the age of 39, a serene expression on his face, his hair growing at its roots, looking as dignified in death as he was in life, lying before a picture of the Lord. Dutch was a man of extraordinary strength and faith. I heard at his wake that even as his execution date approached, Dutch was always calm when he met with his family, ready to meet his maker, unafraid in his knowledge and faith that he lived and died the best man he could possibly be. It is said as well, among all who visited him, that even those who went to comfort him often came out comforted instead. In his final photo shoot before his execution, we see in his eyes not a hint of fear or regret, only joy, as he bears his soul for the world to see, one final time. Faced with impossible odds, Dutch's sense of justice never wavered. There was never a moment where he stopped fighting for his life or the lives of others on death row with him. It was Dutch, in his court proceedings, who first uncovered the unlawful forwarding of private prison correspondence to the AGC. Shame! It was Dutch who joined 3 other death row prisoners in leading the constitutional challenge against the state. And it was always to Dutch and Pania that other prisoners would go to for advice on their own legal battles. Did such a brilliant man deserve to die at the hands of the AGC? No. Did Dutch deserve to die at the hands of the AGC? No. Did Dutch deserve to die? No. Even on death row, Dutch never stopped fighting for himself and others. He didn't give up when he was handed the death sentence. He didn't give up after the state killed his best friend, Nagentran. And he didn't give up after the state wrongfully handed him death warrants 3 different times. Dutch fought until the very end. He kept his spirit, his faith, his belief in the goodness of himself and others, and walked to the gallows with his head held high. If Dutch never gave up, then why should we? People in Hong Lim Park tonight, people of Singapore, will we let the state scare us from what is right? No. Will we let the state scare us from doing what is right? No. Will we ever stop our good and righteous fight? No. Then the fight shall go on. In the name of Dutch, in the name of Nagin, in the name of the countless other victims of our murderous state. For Jumat, for Pania, for Sami, for Linkes, and for all the others that will come after them. Repeat after me when I say, shame on you, AGC! Shame on you, AGC! Shame on you, AGC! Not in my name! Not in my name! Never again in my name! The fight will go on until every last life is saved. Thank you.
You did great, Mel.
Can we give it up again for Mel and Hadi? I'm just so proud of the kids who. Sorry, I'm 23. I shouldn't be calling them kids. I'm so proud of like the students who are here today, like speaking and taking the mic. Kela is also from SATU. A lot of them are like under 21, and like these folks, like people from SATU, they've been facing like state prosecution, one after another for like joining families to go for letter deliveries, for going flyering door to door to speak to residents, facing smear campaigns and all that. And they're still here so strong today, fighting for what we believe is right, to save the lives of people who have been unlawfully, okay, it's written in the law, but like, it shouldn't be the law, who have been unrighteously taken from the state, and taken from the state full stop, right? And I think as students, a lot of the people who have been taken, who have been sentenced to death, they were in their 20s, they're around our age. I'm 23 today. Dutch was 25 when he was arrested. All of these young people, they were just taken away. Their lives, whatever was left of them, they spent on death row in torturous conditions. And up until the point that our government, the Singapore government, the PAB government, the AGC took their lives away. Do you think that's right?
No!
Do you think that's right?
No!
And what should we do as students? We keep fighting, right? We keep fighting? Yeah, okay, so after today, right, we need to keep the fight going, okay? We can't just come to a park today and call it like, and that's it, just join the movement, join TGC, join SATU. Let's keep the fight going together, all right? So today, right now, before we move on to the next speaker, I want all of you to stand up again, same lingo, face the URL. Now that sign is lighted up so you can quite easily identify where they are now. Face the URL building, and we're going to chant. I'm going to say, hey ho, hey ho. You're going to say the death penalty has got to go, all right? Hey ho, hey ho!
The death penalty has got to go!
Hey ho, hey ho!
The death penalty has got to
I
go!
want to see your fists and placards up. Hey ho, hey ho!
The death penalty has got to go!
Hey ho, hey ho!
The death penalty has got to go!
Hey ho, hey ho!
The death penalty has got to go!
Hey ho, hey ho!
The death penalty has got to go!
Hey ho, hey ho!
The death penalty has got to go!
Okay, so our next speaker is Mila. You can turn around now. Mila, Syed Suhail was her brother. A brother whose life was taken away by our government in January this year. She speaks about the torture that the state puts on those on death row and their family members, and reaffirms our need to keep fighting.
Hi everyone, my name is Mila and I'm the sister of Syed Suhail. He was executed earlier this year on 23rd of January. Last week when they announced Dutch's execution was on hold, I was relieved but also worried as there was no clear indication of what was actually happening. I then went online and did what I always tell myself not to do, read the comments online. And of course, I kept seeing the same things being said over and over again. What's the point of fighting for these people? They knew the law. Why should we pity them? They've already been sentenced. Why delay? These narratives haven't changed in years. People said the same exact things about Syed when he was facing execution. And I'll be honest, it makes me angry because so many of these online warriors are so deeply convinced that the death penalty works. But if it truly works as a deterrent, why are there 40 people currently on death row and many more waiting to be sentenced? Why are there more cases piling up with people still being sentenced and appeals still being dismissed? If the death penalty really works, we wouldn't keep catching people with drugs. It's as if people believe that knowing the law is some sort of antidote, as if the law itself is the truth. But people still get involved in the drug trade. That's because deterrence doesn't work. And why is it that drug use and drug addiction are treated as such unforgivable, irredeemable crimes, when we don't treat other harmful behaviors the same way? We don't sentence people to death for smoking, gambling, domestic abuse, or drunk driving. For those things, there are systems of support and treatment. But with drugs, it's as if we're told, you can just stop. It's like, we told you not to do it, and yet you did it, so here's your punishment. It's not even rehabilitation, it's punishment. The truth is, you can't turn off addiction. And maybe the reason there's more compassion for smoking and alcoholism is because it isn't really seen as a bad thing. It's a norm. Everyone drinks and smokes. You won't get into trouble for it. And why would the government want to make something so lucrative for them illegal? Obviously, the government can't make money from drugs. When the government says it rehabilitates drug users, the reality is far from it. GRC is not rehabilitation. I've seen people relapse even while they're still in the program and again later in halfway houses. There's no meaningful aftercare. I've seen it with people close to me. Once they're released, there's no real follow-up, no guidance, no support for families. Families are left entirely on their own to try and prevent their loved ones from relapsing, with little to no resources. And even when families do notice the signs of relapse, most won't report it to the authorities because the system isn't built on trust or care. It's built on fear and punishment. Then there's the way arrests are publicized. Every time CNB makes an arrest, they release statements about how many grams were seized and how many people that amount could have fed. But how do they know that? It could be enough for 3 people or 30. There's no scientific basis for these claims. But they make them anyway to feed a narrative that they managed to save that many people from drugs by putting this person away and hanging them. I often see comments saying, those drugs kill so many people. He deserves to be hanged. The drugs didn't even make it to anyone, and who did this person kill? Does killing really solve the issue of drug dependency in Singapore? Why is it people don't realize this? A demand and supply thing. Why would people still be drugs in if there wasn't a demand? Everyone seems so sheltered by the reality that we have so many in Singapore that is dealing with addiction. It's not like they can openly register themselves for rehabilitation. They'll end up being locked up like a criminal in cells. It's a punishment, not rehabilitation. If it is truly rehabilitation, they would not be locked up in cells. They wouldn't be treated the same as criminals in prison. Locked up in cells, no fan, no mattresses, in uniform. Is that really rehab? I also want to speak directly to the families of people on death row. We need to step up and speak up. It's not us who should feel ashamed. It's the AGC and those who want to take lives who should feel that shame. Saving lives should be more important than saving face. Our loved one is fighting for their life. The least we could do is to help them instead of hiding from shame or hiding out of fear. We have done nothing wrong. We are merely standing up for our loved one whose voice has been silenced by more and more ridiculous laws. When a prisoner files an application that literally means life or death, prosecutors often treat it as a nuisance, an inconvenience. And when people seek to protect their constitutional rights, the AGC calls it an abuse of process. What drives me to keep speaking up is Syed. I've always been against the death penalty, so when Syed was facing execution, it felt too close to home. During one of our visits, he asked me to reach out to Kirsten to find out more on what can be done. He then wrote to M. Ravi And that made a real difference for him. We never really expected much, so we were very shocked at what an impact his letter made, and that there are people out there who are actually against the death penalty. Our people, our fellow Singaporeans. During our last visit, when it was just the two of us, Sai told me something I will never forget. We must never stop fighting the death penalty. He was sharing how worried he was for the other guys. The new cells were like ovens, and it was only going to get worse for them as the weather gets hotter. He told me the fight doesn't end here. Save the other guys too. Before I end, I want to share one final story about what happened when Said was first scheduled to be executed in 2020. It was also confusing and just madness. While waiting for my turn to visit, I was told that the court had granted a stay of execution, but it didn't seem confirmed, so I couldn't really tell Said yes or no. After my visit, I confirmed with the lawyers again, and it was confirmed he was granted a stay. So I spoke to the prison officers. They said they didn't know anything about it. I felt so lost. How come the court hasn't passed on the message to the prison to halt the execution? I contacted the lawyer, and they were just as surprised and immediately worked on the letter to notify the relevant parties. It was close to midnight, and Said was just hours away from being killed. Finally, the officers assigned to my family confirmed that there is a stay and that the prison was aware. They then simply closed the chapter. No remorse. This is what we're dealing with. A system so careless, so indifferent to human life, that even at the brink of death, communication breaks down. A system that doesn't respect life. And that's why this fight matters. It matters not just for the people on death row, but for all of us, because a society that kills in the name of justice is a society that has lost its humanity. And we can and must change that.
So I would like to invite everyone to stand up and face the AGC again. So we'll do this chant again. I will say execution and you will say is not the solution. Execution!
It's not the solution!
Execution!
It's not the solution!
Execution!
It's not the solution!
Louder! Execution!
It's not the solution!
Execution!
It's not the solution!
Okay, you may turn back around. So our next speaker is Kokila Anamalai, another member of the Transformative Justice Collective. Kokila will be speaking on how class injustice perpetuates the death penalty and the disparity of outcomes between the rich and the poor.
My speech today is for the most part addressed directly to the AGC and the public prosecutors who persist in sending our brothers and sisters to the gallows. Why aren't any of you able to hold our gaze when we see you in court? Do you ever look at the prisoner in the dock or their loved ones in the gallery? I've been in court for capital cases many times, and I haven't seen it once. I keep waiting for you to look over at them. I search for some sign of inner conflict, some discomfort, some pain, or at least uncertainty about the job you're here to do, sending a very alive human being to their death. But I don't see any of you look. Not even for a moment do I see you acknowledge their existence. Perhaps if you did, you'd see that the prisoners often gesture to their family members asking if they've eaten. Perhaps you'd see the heart signs they hold up, the smiles, the tears, the human ache to touch the people you love. What do you tell your children when you go home after convicting someone of a capital charge and the judge pronounces your victory in these words to the accused person? You are hereby sentenced to be taken from here to a lawful prison and then to a place of execution where you shall be hanged by the neck until you are dead. On days like this, what do you tell your mother or your spouse when they ask you how your day was? Do you tell them you had a good day? You won in court? You may be up for a promotion soon if you keep up this streak of wins? Do you feel pleased with yourself as you get ready for bed? What lies do you tell yourself to live with yourself? A few days ago, I watched Dachna's family scream, collapse, and writhe in pain when they saw his lifeless body, having just laughed, sung, and danced with him the previous evening through plexiglass. Something in my bones hasn't stopped trembling since, and I suspect it is evidence that I am human. Do you have any trouble falling asleep on the night of an execution? Do you even keep track of when the men and women you send to death row get executed? We understand that the AGC has a policy that public prosecutors have a choice when it comes to capital cases. They can choose not to take them on. So for all of you who refuse this choice, imagine the power you have if you organized and all of you refuse to do capital cases. But you don't because you are cowards. We always say if ordinary people had a front row seat to how the death penalty really works, many more would oppose it. Many more Singaporeans would oppose it if they knew the truth. But you, the AGC, are in the driver's seat, and you keep this bloodthirsty machinery of murder running despite seeing up close its barbarism, its injustice, its many, many dangerous flaws. While it's understandable why the average Singaporean believes the PAP's myths about the death penalty, you have no excuse. I cannot think of any reason you would participate in this killing spree except your own self-interest. Are these destroyed families worth the fat paychecks? For all of your repulsive qualities, I don't believe you are fools. I don't think you believe, not for a second, that you are keeping our society safer by sending poor, desperate young boys or older people who've struggled with lifelong addiction to their death. I don't think you fail to see the contradiction when you decide to proceed on lesser charges against drug syndicate leaders like Len Ho Heng, who has laundered more than 1.27 million in drug proceeds, and whom one of your prosecutors described as an integral member of the syndicate, likened to a CEO of a company. Meanwhile, you make the decision again and again to send poor drug mules to the gallows, while drug syndicate leaders don't get the same punishment. I don't think that you fail to see the contradictions in our laws when you have to drop the charges against high-level traffickers like Benny Key because witnesses are afraid to come forward. But yet, you have multiple presumptions in the Misuse of Drugs Act that allows you an easy path to convict drug mules who are caught with substances in their possession, even though they are not involved in any of the decision-making, in any recruitment of customers, or in any other part of the business. I don't think you fail to see the disparity in outcomes between the rich and the poor. I don't think you fail to see who can hire the best defense lawyers, who can afford to file civil suits and pay cost orders. You can't be unaware that the defense lawyers who take on death penalty cases through the legal aid scheme for capital offenses are paid a tiny fraction of what you are paid and have far less resources at their disposal than you do. I want to know, do you feel any shame when death row prisoners like Syed Suhail, Dutch, and Panir Silvam stand up in court against you, unrepresented, and argue legal points so complex that even with all your money, your years of training, your elite education, were beyond your imagination? I approached 22 lawyers personally in the week that Dutch's execution was first scheduled. They all turned down the case, saying it couldn't be won. Dutch argued it himself in court and won. When Dutch and Panir won against you in their stay applications, how did you look at yourselves in the mirror? You appealed against Dutch's win, demanded an expedited hearing, forcing him to defend himself at the Court of Appeal almost immediately after he had won at the High Court. Because why? Were you so desperate for him to be executed the very next day? You lost to him twice in one day. That's what you got out of it. I have no words for the disgust I feel at these choices you make again and again that are a betrayal to your own humanity. Do you feel any shame when, in response to death row prisoners describing their struggles, finding lawyers, or bringing applications, you claim in court that they do not need legal counsel because they're fully capable of making legal arguments? I wish I had the words to explain to you the extreme stress, agony, anxiety, and torture death row prisoners and their family members endure, the extraordinary lengths they have to go to bring each of these cases, sometimes handwritten first in Tamil and then in English, and then memorized by the family members to recite to the death row prisoners during family visits. How does your conscience allow you to assert again and again that death row prisoners fighting for their civil rights and the lives of their fellow prisoners are abusing the court's process? If this is not what the court's process is for, then what the hell is it for? And how dare you, when you have illegally read death row prisoners' private letters to their loved ones, to lawyers, to the court, claim that they are abusing process? How did you feel confronting the handwritten scrawls of caged men, pleading for someone to hear them, to help save their lives? How did you feel when the prisoners discovered this dirty practice you had continued for years in cahoots with the Singapore Prison Service and exposed you after a 3-year ordeal? In Singapore, it is you, the AGC, who decides who lives and who dies. You decide who gets plea bargains. You decide who gets a certificate of substantive assistance. You decide who gets reduced charges. You play God, but you are not God. Just because thugs are in suits, they don't cease to be thugs. Just because thugs work for the state, they don't cease to be thugs. Just because you don't hold a murder weapon, it doesn't mean you carry as much responsibility for conspiracy to murder. Saeed, Iskander, and many others on death row willed a good portion of their small savings to TJC. In total, what all the prisoners have donated to TJC in the last days of their lives probably won't even come up to a fraction of a public prosecutor's monthly salary. And yet, this gesture is priceless to us. Among many other extraordinary acts by death row prisoners, this too is one that you probably cannot register the power of. Because at least to me, you are no different to contract killers. You just happen to be employed by the most powerful organization in the country, the government. A few days ago, I witnessed the last call that the prison made to Dutch's family. We had been waiting with bated breath since 12:30 a.m. when the prison had called to say that the president was considering his clemency, and so the execution was on hold. The call came at 1:40 p.m. The family members all were terrified, wondering who should pick it up, passing the phone to each other. They knew it was the prison, but nobody dared to pick it up. Finally, one of them did. And this is the conversation I heard. The president has rejected the clemency. You can come to identify Dutch's body at 3 p.m. Why was the clemency rejected? There is no reason. What time is the execution? cannot tell you. But usually we know the time of the execution. It's around 6 we know it's at 6 a.m. You told us to come in the morning to collect the body. So why can't you tell us now? You assumed it's at 6 a.m. We cannot tell you the time. Can we see him one last time? No. Any other questions? Can we have one last call? No. Any other questions? Please, just one call with his mother? No. Any other questions? Could you help us pass a message to him before he goes to the execution chamber? No. Any other questions? This is the reality of the death penalty regime in Singapore. Its sterility and its cruelty. Right before our protest started today, Duchess Sister Rani called me and said, I want you to tell everybody there, now that we have gone through this again and again and we're at the end, I want people to understand that this punishment is far too severe for any family to bear. We have been punished for no wrongdoing of our own, and we will be scarred for the rest of our lives. I want everyone to understand that. I want to end with this. As much as it's true that migrant workers have fought harder for all of our labor rights than anyone else in Singapore, it will always also be true that death row prisoners have fought harder for all of our civil rights than anyone else in Singapore. The most oppressed groups in our society have led the way, shown us the path, and the courage it takes to stand up to our oppressors. We continue the fight for abolition in their names. Thank you.
Thank you, Koki, for scolding the AGC so fiercely. And I want all of us to stand up and scold the AGC together now. Stand up, face the AGC. So the first chant that we have for now, I'm going to say, AGC, look at your hands. And you're going to say, there is blood all over them. So that's AGC, look at your hands. There is blood all over them. AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
I want to hear more anger in your voices. I want you to see your fists up, your placards up. AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
I want them to hear you whether they went home already or they're in their office. I want you to be so loud that they can hear you from where they are. AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
For the next chant, I'm going to say, AGC, for the lives you take, we say, and you say, not in our names. Okay? AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
I want to see your placards and fists up. I want AGC to also see your placards and fists up and to be able to hear your voices, alright? AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
AGC, for the lives you take, we say,
not in our names.
For the next chant that we have now, I'm going to say, end poverty, end racism, and oppression, and exploitation, and desperation in that order. And you're going to say not life, alright? End poverty!
Not life!
End racism!
Not life!
End oppression!
Not life!
End exploitation!
Not life!
End desperation!
Not life!
End poverty!
Not life!
End racism!
Not life!
End oppression!
Not life!
End exploitation!
Not life!
End desperation!
Not life!
End poverty!
Not life!
End racism!
Not life!
End oppression!
Not life!
End exploitation!
Not life!
End desperation!
Not life!
One more time, I want to hear you louder, okay? End poverty!
Not life!
End racism!
Not life!
End oppression!
Not life!
End exploitation!
Not life!
End desperation!
Not life!
The last speaker for today is Jennifer N. Champion. She's a Singaporean writer and performance poet who will be sharing some of Panir's works. Panir Selvam is a Malaysian on death row in Singapore since 2017. He has faced a lot of injustice. He was almost unlawfully executed twice by the state and currently faces imminent execution. Despite all that, he managed to gift his music, poems to the world from inside the four walls of his cells. On Saturday, his poetry collection, Death Row Literature, was officially launched in KL. This is the book that he launched. We have a browsing copy at the booth. You're welcome to take a look and find out how to get your hands on it later. So for now, Jen will be taking the mic.
Thank you. Good evening, Hong Lim Park. How are you today? Cool. Bit weird to cheer on such a terrible, sad day. But you know what? The thing about death penalty is that I think people who want to live want to celebrate life. So can we have a cheer for that, please? Now, I would love to scold the AGC very much. I did not plan for that, though. What I did plan for was to share with you and to share with the whole of Hong Lim Park the beauty of Panir's poetry. When I was last here at Hong Lim Park, we were here for a vigil for him, and we didn't know if he was going to get a stay of execution. And right here in this park, we got that news. Now he is back on death row again, but nevertheless, this book is out. His genius, his beauty is out, and today I want to share that with you. This first poem I'm going to read is called Death Row Literature and is dedicated to other death row souls, including Nagendran. Death Row Literature. A tragic vision of purposeful blindness and exhausted soul of a mother seeking refuge for her son. The premonition of death descending like a dark shadow of night upon the day. Concrete walls of Hades, built by blood, were decorated with crawled handprints like a symbol of desperate pleads from an extended hand of a disabled mime. There's a trace of urgency on those shades, as if there's a hidden message engraved on the wrinkles of those haunted palms, as if it seeks the voice of a messenger to speak its death row literature, as the last hope for the future, as its last sign before its loss in its last sleep. Handcuffs, shackles, chains, black veil, trapdoor, lethal chamber, executioners devotedly sing a murderous chorus as if cheering for evil to take its form. Enticing death to breathe through the sorrow of loved ones, to invite it to roam and dwell at the end of the venomous needle, at the circle of the knotted cord, at the edge of the sharpened sword. It sits nonchalantly like an invisible ruler at the throne of an electric chair to disembowel and devour the scorched flesh, the soul of a thing just a second ago called a human being. But every life is sacred. Let's not make it a secret. The death penalty isn't a silver bullet. Advocate of death, greedy for more dead bodies, adamant to the core for more blood to pour, telling you that killing is the cure to keep this state pure. They said there's freedom of expression here, but is there freedom after the expression? We can't change the past, but the present is the future's past. It's about time for us to act fast. Panir is still in prison right now awaiting death row. And I really, really wish I could meet him. I actually made an offer to his sister and said, I'll embroider one of his poems on a piece of textile if he wishes. And the second poem I want to read also from this collection, which you can check over there, I'm going to do a response with one of my own poems to this poem, but I'm going to make some changes to it, okay? So Panir's poem, this one is called The Problem to Stay. They want the problems to stay because that's their major plate. They want the problems to stay because that's their way. They want the problems to stay because that's how they get paid. Promise to do more but did less so that they can keep promising more and do even less and less and make people go penny less. At last say less is more. There's a ballot glass. Let's vote for us some more. Corruption beyond the reach of reason, celebrated as if it's a festival season. The poor bled dry in brutal conditions, loaded with disillusion, exploded tension. But promise breakers float in pools at mansions, plotting how to fool us in the next election. Backstabbing appears to be the new mission. Disappeared into thin air. Our 2020 vision. Panu wrote this on 25th of August 2020. And I wrote this before I had any sense of needing to stand up, needing to add a voice to people who are fighting against the death penalty. Without saying too much about my own context, I will say that the generational burden of living with that is incredibly hard. To this day, I don't know, until a few years ago I shared with someone that they still ask you to identify the body after it has been executed. They ask family members to do this. And it is incredibly ironic and painful to hear that and to think, oh, you asked me this question for accountability as if you what? Executed the wrong person. So, to the AGC, this is my poem, Paradise City, and also in response to Panir. Take me down to a coffee shop. Any coffee shop will do. Someone will swear it has the best Yong Tau Fu, the gingerest teh halia, the quietest air conditioner, the eggiest hello prata. No place survives here without being the best at something. Take me to where the grass is green and the sand uncovered, unrubbered, unprotected from the little children joyfully skinning knees in your mind. Take me to the bottom of the city skyline on lunch break. A colony of pencil skirts and reasonable high heels. Take me to the wheels of our best minds churning. Take me to the book-loving gangster, the millionaire cab driver, the cat-feeding flat dweller, the executioner who knows that a dream is the most expensive asset to own in this city. And how lovely to own something non-taxable. So take me to Paradise City where the grass is green, the sand is so pretty, and the people knowing where to go, where to move forward. Where do we go? Where do we move forward? Where do we go? Where do we move forward? Where do we go? Against the death penalty. Majula, take me home.
I would like to invite everyone to stand up and face the AGC again. So there's two parts to this chant. I will say, what do we want? And you will say, justice. I will say, when do we want it? And you will say, now. And then we will repeat it. I will say, what do we want? You will say, freedom. I will say, when do we want it? And you will say, now. So justice and then freedom. What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Freedom!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Freedom!
When do we want it?
Now!
Make sure they can hear you. What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Freedom!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Freedom!
When do we want it?
Now!
Okay, you guys may turn back around. To get the justice and freedom we deserve, we must keep fighting for them. At the start of the rally, each of you were given a mourning pin at the booth. It is a black square with a safety pin. Can everyone please hold your pin and raise them up high? If anyone doesn't have them, our volunteers will come around to pass them to you. Please raise them up, guys. Okay, continue keeping your hands up with your pins.
Okay, with your pins in your hands, I want to invite everyone to wear the mourning pin on your left sleeve. So feel free to help the person beside you put it on. Okay, can everyone stand up as we put the pins on together? So again, put the black mourning pin on your left sleeve. Feel free to help one another out while you're at it. If you don't have a mourning pin, there are volunteers going around. Just raise your hand or wave to them. So as you are putting the pins on for one another, let's keep in mind that we wear the mourning pin in memory of Dutch and the many others who have been killed by the people across the road via the death penalty. Their lives were taken in Changi prison, just a 25-minute drive from here. Through the state's murderous regime, we have lost 11 lives this year alone.
Let's keep the mourning pins on for the rest of this week. Wear it to work, to school, to exercise, to eat. Wear it everywhere. We wear these mourning pins as a representation of our collective grief for and in solidarity with death row prisoners, as well as anger around the death penalty and those behind it. Now, before we sing We Shall Overcome, let us observe a minute of silence for Dutch and for more than 400 others who have been executed under the PAP government via the death penalty.
Now we'll be singing We Shall Overcome together. So you have the song sheet with you. Please flip to page 4. Okay, so as we sing the song together, can I invite everyone to turn on the torch of your phone and hold it up, and also come closer together. Let's hold one another while we sing the song. Yeah, so your torch, the electric candlelight, if you have it. I want to see everyone hold it up for me, please. And stand close to one another, and we'll be singing the song together. So again, that's page 4 of the song sheet. Overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. One more time from the top. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. As we hold on to our grief and anger, I'm reminded of a poem by Asata Shakur, a liber- a black liberation activist who passed on a few days ago. It reads, "You died, I cried, and kept on getting up, a little slower and a lot more deadly. As we grieve the state's violence against Dutch and all the other death row prisoners and their families, let us use this as fuel for our collective, unapologetic rage. What the state fears is not our despair, but our organized anger. That is what will keep our fight going so that we shall overcome someday."
So, over the next week, keep your morning pins on. Let this be a conversation starter amongst your friends, families, and co-workers. And beyond this week, we keep the struggle going. Sign the petition calling for a moratorium on the death penalty at change.org/stopthekillingsg. And join the movement through the Transformative Justice Collective, Student Actions for Transformative Justice, and or the Alliance Against the Death Penalty by signing up at tinyurl.com/abolitionsg. So once again, the two links, change.org/stopthekillingsg and tinyurl.com/abolitionsg. Feel free to speak to us at the booth as well if you'd like to ask more about the membership. I'd like to close with a quote from Duchess' mother, Lakshmi Amma. She said, "Your government wants you to be afraid. Don't be afraid. They will try to stop you. Don't stop." Okay, so now we would like everyone to gather for a mass photo. So if you guys could hurry to the center and just stick close to one another.
So yeah, face wherever you're facing right now, like face us, and we're gonna bring this banner that says "Blood on your hands, AGC" over in front, and we'll take a photo together in front of the AGC.
So the photographers will be on the mount.
Yeah, so just want everyone together as tightly as possible so that we can get everyone in the photo. And while So everyone just gather as close as possible. Try not to have any spaces in between. And we're gonna take a photo. So if you have your placards, please hold them up and hold your phones and lights up as well so that we can get everyone in the photo, everyone visible in the photo. Okay, so as we hold our placards up and the sign up, I want everyone to just chant with me, okay? So we'll do the chant. AGC, look at your hands, and you'll say, "There's blood all over them." AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
I want your placards and fists up, all right? AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
AGC, look at your hands.
There is blood all over them.
Now I want you to just repeat after me. Say, "Shame on you, AGC."
Shame on you, AGC.
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 Now I'm gonna say, "What do we want?" You say justice, and I say, "When do we want it?" You say now, all right? What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Okay, now I want you all to say freedom, all right? What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
I want you to say it like you mean it. What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When do we want it?
Now.
Now when you say, when I say execution, you say not, it's not the solution, okay? Execution!
Is not a solution.
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 Now I want you all to chant with me. No more blood on our hands. No more,
No more blood, no more blood on our hands. No more, no more blood, no more blood on our hands. No more, no more blood, no more blood on our hands.
No more,
No more blood, no more blood on our hands.
no
More, no more blood, no more blood on our hands.
no
More, no more blood, no more blood on our hands.
no
No more, no more blood, no more blood on our hands.
One more time, all right? No more blood,
No more blood on our hands. No more blood on our hands.
No more blood on our hands. No more blood.
No more blood on our hands.
So I want you all keep everything we've chanted so far, keep that in your hearts and keep that in your actions, all right? So when we leave the field today, we're going to keep the fight going. We're going to keep standing in solidarity with people on death row. And we can only do that when we come together. So join SATU, join TJC, join the Alliance Against the Death Penalty. You know, just in a couple of days, it's going to be the World Day Against the Death Penalty. I want all of us, our voices to be resounding in calling for the abolition of the death penalty. Use your platform on social media. Go talk to your colleagues, talk to your coworkers, talk to your professors, talk to your fellow students on campus, talk to your family members, talk to everyone. Get them to sign a petition and come for future events and continue standing in solidarity with people on death row. We'll keep the fight going. Are we going to keep the fight going together? Are we going to keep the fight going together? Are we going to keep shaming the AGC for the blood that's on their hands?
Yes.
Are we going to keep shaming the AGC?
Yes.
Okay, I want all of us with everything that we have right now, right? One final chant. I want you to say, there's blood on your hands, AGC, okay? 1, 2, 3.
There's blood on your hands, JC.
We're going to do it one more time, but everyone facing the AGC. Okay, so I'm going to count to 3 and we're going to say, okay. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3 and you're going to say, there's blood on your hands, AGC, okay? 1, 2, 3.
There's blood on your hands, AGC.
One more time. 1, 2, 3.
There's blood on your hands, AGC.
Okay, so keep the fight going. Thanks everyone for coming today. Abolish the death penalty. So as you are leaving the field, if you want to, you can leave your placards at the mound with the other banners. If you want, you can take them home. Just be careful to cover them on the way lah, just in case kena any POA.